Tim, I'm the second general editor of the journal, and I've been the general editor for just over 4 years. And I joined after the late Professor Thomas Valder was the first general editor. And I missed the start of the journal, which is one of my great regrets. But what was the genesis? What was the thinking behind having this journal?
Well, as you pointed out, the first editor was Professor Valdi, and the journal really started from a conversation that he and I had when I was teaching a course at the University of Dundee where he was the professor. So Thomas had just left being a general editor of another energy journal, and he wanted to do another one, but he said, I want to do it with an organization that was exciting and dynamic, with interesting people and interesting topics. And so at that time I was president of the Association of International Petroleum Negotiators, and it just happened to be a good match. Yeah. And that's really where it all started.
The thing that interests me about the journal is an essential paradox in the title and its relationship with the AIPN. And the AIPN, by its title, is about petroleum, and yet the journal is not exclusively about petroleum. It's about energy in all of its widest sense. It's about law, it's about business, it's about the economics. And to what extent was it difficult for the AIPN to conceive of a journal which went much further than simply the law of petroleum?
It was a challenge for the AIPN to conceive what Thomas and I were talking about. Thomas was quite insistent. He just did not want to do an oil and gas law journal. He wanted to cover the broad spectrum of energy, as we know it in the world today, and how it would progress over time. And we also wanted to make sure that it covered the various disciplines. Certainly the law is a core, but it was also, as you pointed out, economics and business and policy issues. So we try to capture that in the title. The title is a bit long, but the title tries to capture the range of topics that we initially had in mind. It was energy, it was the law, and it was business. And this is something that we made quite clear to the board of directors of the AIPN. It was more than just oil and gas or upstream part of the business. It was the broad spectrum. Now, it's easier for us to gather topics and articles in the oil and gas sector just because there's so much. But we intentionally reach out to look at other alternative forms of energy and all the issues that go along with that. So that's what the title reflects, and that's its origin.
From my perspective as the general editor, what I would add is that what the OUP brings, I've never worked with the OUP before this journal, I would add, but what the OUP brings is a professionalism around the way that they publish the journal, which certainly as the general editor makes my life a lot easier. I have a very good editorial and publishing team at the press, and it is a joy to work with. As the editor of the journal as well, I would also say that the two things, that you have two powerful acronyms associated with this journal, which is the AIPN and the OUP. But what is gratifying is to see the appeal that those two have to authors beyond the confines of that. There is a temptation to believe that you have to be a member of the AIPN to have an article published in the journal, and that's not so. The articles are not exclusively related to petroleum. They range across a variety of topics, but there is a cachet for authors, I have discerned, with being published by a journal, published within a journal which is published by the OUP and is the journal of the AIPN. So together, I think the AIPN and the OUP give the journal a certain style and presence which is unmatched in the market today.
Well, I would agree with you on that. It's a very interesting and dynamic partnership. We really didn't quite know what to expect. The OUP has been around much longer than the AIPN, so it has a long history, and we wondered how we would fit into that as an organization in the energy sector. And it's turned out to be an extremely good relationship in which there are benefits that flow back and forth between the two, and as you pointed out, there is an attraction to authors, to people who are preeminent in the energy sector, from all perspectives, from government to policymakers to national oil companies to the practitioners in the field. So it's worked out extremely well.